3, 2, 1. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Ash on Comics. My name is Ash, and I'm on comics. Literally. No, not really, literally. Figuratively, I guess. I don't know how you say that. It's good to see you. This is one of the 3 days of the week that I look forward to, because times are tough, and it's a hard life out there lately. I don't know. There's a Japanese, is it a proverb is the right term for it? I'm not sure. It's a saying. I think it's Japanese, but maybe it's another Asian culture that I'm confusing it because I'm just a ignorant white boy. We live in interesting times, or I think the saying is, may you live in interesting times. But we certainly do live in interesting times. How's everyone doing? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying healthy. The good news is we don't hear about COVID anymore, right? When's the last time you heard about COVID? It seemed to drop off the face of the earth. No, I know, I'm sure it's still around that you see stuff, but it's so weird how it was just in our face non-stop. It reminds me of that old when I was a kid, if I would cry, my parents would say the whole thing, I'll give you something to cry about. And then I'd have an uncle who would tell me things like, I skinned my knee or something, and I'm like crying, I'm a little kid or something, I'm crying and skinned my knee. It's like, well, I can take the pain away. And I was like, really? Like, yeah. And it's like, I'll punch me in the arm real hard. It's like, see, if it hurts worse somewhere else, the other pain goes away. And it's a weird phenomenon. But it's like, it's kind of true. You got a little paper cut. Yeah, go stub your toe real hard. All of a sudden you won't feel that paper cut. It's just, anyways, this kind of reminds me of that, in a kind of figurative sense of like, wow, COVID? Who cares about COVID? The whole country's on fire. Like, whatever. Ryuk's in the house. He says he's staying safe so far. It's good. Lord was number 1 today. Number 1 in the chat. Get a special shout out. Dragon Majesty is number 2. I'm not used to you guys being the early birds here. And then Tehillim rounds off with the bronze with his trademark G2CU. Sorry, I had to take a swig of some Pepsi Throwback. It is insane how much of a difference the real sugar or the Pepsi Throwback, whatever they call it nowadays, the one with the real sugar, it's insane how much difference it makes between that Pepsi and the regular normal Pepsi. I get the Coke with the real sugar. They call it out. Coke, for some reason, retardedly doesn't do what Pepsi does and just make it. But you can get Mexican Coke. That's what they call it. Comes in the glass bottle, which is great. That's the way you want to drink Coke. For whatever reason, Coke really has its flavor altered when it's in a plastic or a tin can. Sorry for all you accurate people out there. An aluminum can. Or if you're British, an aluminium can. Anyways, it's amazing the difference, like those containers affect the flavor of Coke. So glass bottles are always better. And, the old school glass bottles have been gone for a long time. But the Mexican Coke is manufactured that way because, for whatever reason, we don't want to appeal to American consumers, but we got to appeal to the Mexicans. Whatever. Nothing wrong with Mexicans, but they get the better Coke. And anyways, my point is out, it's become popular. It was popular when I was in Colorado. It's very popular out here, San Diego. You can go to restaurants, stores, and just order Mexican Coke and you'll get that. But I think it's better because it comes in the glass bottle. I don't think the real sugar portion of it makes that big of a difference to me. Like, I'll just drink regular Coke, it's fine. But the Pepsi, holy shit, it's like night and day. I don't know why I got enough on a Pepsi kick. Sometimes I just like to blab about nothing to fill space. You can call me the Bendis of YouTube. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm not really kidding. Eric Breen is in the house. Good to see you, Eric Breen. Longtime listener, friend of mine. And it's good to know him. Eric Breen is an example of why I do what I do. And as far as, why I collect comics, why I do a YouTube video, why I'm on Twitter. There's a ton of weirdos out there. There's a ton of people that I just want to freaking stab myself in the eyes after talking to. And it's easy to focus on and be like, why the hell am I on here? Why am I on Twitter wasting my time? But then you get to meet good people. And I would say everyone in the chat, as far as I'm aware, is good people. And that's why I do the videos that I do. But Eric has been a person that has been following my channel for a while, and we've gotten to know each other outside of just me doing videos. And it's a good guy, so I like to see him around. And sometimes you'll hear me giving him shit and stuff. If you ever do, it's all inside baseball. We just joke around. We like to bust each other's balls. He really likes to bust my balls. Sometimes I go to sleep crying. But I wake up the next day and I'm better for the most part, but that's the way it goes. I'm happy that you guys are here. We're done with the Jonathan Hickman Fantastic Four, and I don't have the same level of how do I say, people in chat is normal, the same number of viewers. So that's a little, maybe it's without the Hickman, I don't have the star power anymore. So I was on Comixology. That's where I have to go to get the books that I can read, so we can do this stuff. And I picked up some digital stuff, and check out what I found. This has been on my wish list. I've been keeping this on my wish list. For precisely this reason. This book here at the top. Do you see it? Let's blow it up here. It might be small if you're watching this on a phone. Man and Superman. 100-page, super spectacular, #1. Normally this was $10. I missed it when it came out. I got to hear everyone go, "Oh my God, this is the best Superman story in ages." Wes, Overthinking Critical, said this was his book of the year. So when it came out, I was like, I'm not paying $10 for a comic. I'm sorry. I don't care. I'm not. And, I pass it up. I still think even if it's really good, $10 is too much. And you might say, well, Ash, it's actually 4 comics, so it's like $2.50 an issue. And wouldn't you like comics to be $2.50 an issue? And to that, I would say yes. Yes, I would. I would love them to be $2.50 an issue. That would be great. It's not about bang for your buck. It's not about cost per page sort of thing. That, to me, I don't think that's a really good way to value your comics. As far as like like your purchase, think of it like a movie, right? What was there a movie that just recently? I don't think it came out in theaters though. The Irishman by Martin Scorsese was like over 3.5 hours long. I think it's like 3 hours and 45 minutes. I'm not sure if it had a theatrical release or not. I want to say that it did because it got nominated for Academy Award, and I think you have to have a theatrical. Whatever. Let's just pretend that it did for the sake of argument. That movie's 3 hours. It's like double the time length of the average movie. So if you buy a ticket, when was the last time you went and bought a ticket to a movie and were like, "Whoa, this one's really long"? Like I'm paying my, however much tickets are in your area. Out here, they're like $14 for a movie ticket. Oh, my $14 is going a really long way. I'm getting. Most people don't think about that. When you buy a movie ticket, you're just considering I'm getting a movie experience. Sometimes it's 90 minutes. Sometimes it's 120 minutes. Every so often it's 180 minutes. It's rarely 3 hours and 40. Like you just whatever. I just go see the movie, and I just want a movie experience, whether it's an hour and a half, 2.5 hours, somewhere around that ballpark, it's worth my X amount of dollars, and that's it. And that's how I think about comics. When I go to the comic store, I'm not looking to have the Costco / Sam's Club big box store mentality. I'm not there to buy a pallet of goods, right? I'm not there to stock up in that sense. I'm looking for bite-size, affordable chunks. That's, maybe it's me stuck in my old ways, but to me, that's kind of what makes the comics medium what it is. Every Wednesday, I can go to the store and I can get a handful of comics. Each one is an affordable price, so I can walk away with more than just one, right? And then I can come back the next week and there's another one. I'm not looking to go to the store and buy an omnibus, right? If I buy an omnibus and you go, whoa, it's $100. That's really expensive. But look at how many comics you get in it, Ash. You're getting like 50 issues in that, for that's $2 a comic. Yeah, but do I want to go to the comic book store every week and buy $100 omnibus? No. I like the dosing, that rationing out, get a little bit here, a little bit there. I'm not looking to do that. And that's, if you started marketing comics in that way, well, then it would be more like a normal book. I buy books occasionally, right? Oh, here's a good book. And then I'm not a fast reader. I'll spend like sometimes several months digesting a full novel, right? So that, yeah, I could spend, $10, or if we buy a hardcover book, it's like $25-$30. But spend several months, I could look at it that fashion, but I'm only doing it once. Comics I'm doing all the time, and I'm looking for the diversity. I don't want to just buy like one comic and follow it. That's not what I do. I want to buy a bunch of comics, and that's why I love the open world, the open universe and the shared universe aspects of it. I can follow the multiple different characters, and every once in a while they cross over. Or even if they don't cross over, you just sort of see the ramifications of like what happened in some other book. It like kind of, those ramifications spill over into other books. You're like, oh, okay. That sort of stuff is great. And I love the variety. And every week I have something to look forward to. And if you start selling $10 comics, then certainly I could still buy them. Then instead of buying I have 25 comics on my pull list. Now I would have to buy like 5 comics. It doesn't work out right. And then it's not how I want to enjoy comics. So anyways, that's a way long-winded explanation about why, even though it is more bang for your buck on that mentality, that's not the point of comics for me. If I want bang for my buck, I'm just going to focus on my Netflix subscription. You pay $15, I can watch hundreds of hours of content, right? Or I could go buy actual real books and get way more content. Or I can spend $1.99 on a Viz / Shonen Jump subscription. You pay $1.99. Jesus, $1.99 a month is their subscription cost, and you get unlimited access to their entire catalog of manga. Now, if you're not a manga fan, and yes, I know it's pronounced manga, so don't get all hoity-toity, Kotaku pretentious on me. And we're in America. Anyways, if you aren't into manga, you're not going to care. But I'm just talking from a value standpoint. God, I really hate having to explain every time I say manga. Because I just foresee someone going, trash is not. Anyways, if you're not into manga, that you're not gonna care. But the value, you can understand it. $1.99. I could get tons of, and there's good stuff out there that I want to read. And the only reason I don't read it is because I'm really a comic book fan, and I have way too many comic books on my plate. I can't, even at $1.99. I'm just like, I just don't even have time to sit down and read, 5,000 pages of a manga series, or whatever. How crazy some of these manga series are insanely long. Anyways, I am I'm just going off. That's what I do, right? Go in the weeds. You guys, I sometimes when I go in the weeds like this, I'm not looking at the chat because I'm just I'm one of those people that can literally, like, I can't multitask. Like I'm doing something and I can just do it, but if I try to do something else at the same time, I just crash and burn. So it's hard for me to look at the chat and keep the stream of conscious going. I'll get all stuttering and all over my words. Eric says, "You're the straw of this stream." Thanks, buddy. I feel good being a straw. Christopher Barker's in the house. He says, "I'm late, Ash. What we talking about?" Well, I think you posted that 4 minutes ago, so you probably know what we're talking about by now. I don't mean to say that to be trite. There's no real reason for me to repeat everything, and everyone's probably thanking me for it. Let's see. Ryuk224 says, "Ew, Kutaku." Eric says, "Ash is so far in the weeds that I'm finding lost balls." Oh man, did you lose your balls in the weeds, Eric? That's a personal issue. Dragon Majesty, "I think Ash must be dancing to these tunes." What tunes? Is there tunes playing? I don't hear tunes. Did I leave something on? No, there's no tunes going on. You're psyching me out. I was like, I turned the music off. What's going on? So back to the story. Man and Superman, 84 cents. It's in my cart. I'm buying it. I'm very excited. This is a great deal. I'm also been buying the Batman The Adventure Continues and Superman Man of Tomorrow. They are both out. And I am not buying this. However, I just didn't want to have to search it for it again, so I just threw it in my cart. If anyone out there just, I don't know, happens to have this book and has a digital code for it or wants to donate to the House of Kent, to the Ash on Comics, I will read this live. I have been seeing people post panels and pages of this book, and it is so crazy. I desperately want to read this live, but I can't justify even paying this price, because COVID is, I want to say COVID has screwed me, but it really hasn't been COVID. It's been my communist government that screwed me. So anyways, man, I really want to read this. So that's it. If anyone has code and they're like, "Hey, I have a code, well, we can do this on live on stream," I will happily read this out. But oh man, that is a train wreck that it's beautiful. So I'm gonna remove that before I buy. Tehillim says they no longer put the digital codes in them now, but they do in Marvel. Dang it, Tehillim. Oh well. So I'm going to proceed to check out. For $2.63, I am getting 3 comics. One of them was originally $10, so it's actually 6 comics worth of value here for less than the price of one normal comic. When I do this, I am not one of these pro digital over physical. I definitely like reading on digital better. When I read to you guys, I'm on my PC and I don't enjoy it that way. When I read on my iPad, it is night and day better. Once you read, if you ever get to read on an iPad Pro, a digital comic, like, you just don't ever want to go back. It's so awesome. But I do enjoy owning the physical books, and I definitely have the nostalgia that I would never necessarily push away to digital, except for in a case like this where it's like I just paid less than the price of one single comic and I basically got 6. It's hard to compete with that, Now, Eric Breen can definitely compete with that because this dude knows how to find deals in his shops in his area. He has found crazy dollar comics. And there's a comic book store out here that I found recently too, which I haven't been to in several months because of the COVID, but I'm looking forward to going back. It has a big, huge dollar bin section, so it's not exactly like an advantage that only is available on digital, but not everyone has one of those shops near me. And for the longest time, I didn't even know this shop existed. My buddy was like, "Hey, you want to go down to SoCal Comics?" So that's the name of the store. I was like, "No, I've never been there." He's like, "Yeah, let's go." And I was like, "Okay, cool. I'm new comic book store, and it's far. It's like a half-hour drive from where I'm at. I mean, it's not far, but whatever. It's not something I'd want to go to every week, but it's close enough to make the drive, and it's pretty big, and that dollar room is for me is huge. Like there's so much. I just was like, I was not prepared. And you can get a lot of books, and then they have a thing too. It's $1, but if you buy 12 comics, then it's $10 for 12. So essentially you get 2 free if you buy 10. So that's pretty cool. So it makes you kind of want to walk away with like 12 comics, and that's a good deal. Anyways, I'm just blabbling. Christopher Bark says physical all the way. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I get the physical, really. I do. I think it's one of those things where I don't subscribe to the idea that there's only one, right? I'm the kind of guy who likes Coke and I like Pepsi. I don't feel like you just have to pick one. You can enjoy best of both worlds. And I think there's advantages, there's appealing aspects to both. And if you can learn to appreciate those appealing aspects and embrace both of them, then you don't miss out at all, right? Like, and believe me, I mean, if I go to SoCal Comics and Man and Superman is in the dollar bin, I will pick it up, even though I have it on digital. And I haven't even read it yet. I just know from word of mouth, people that have read it, those certain people I trust very much, their opinions. So, Marvel is continuing their digital codes, just closing their online store, says Dragon Majesty. Yeah, I heard about that. Hold on, I got a drink. Marvel, they're not closing their online store. The technical thing that's happening is their online store was powered by Comixology. So basically, it was sort of a reskinned environment, but all those books were hosted and powered by Comixology. What they're doing is that storefront, that interface, they're doing away with and just pointing you to Comixology now. So it kind of makes sense from a Marvel standpoint of like, why spend that extra money to maintain that illusion? Because if you own your books, like if I go to Marvel and I buy the book, it just appears on my Comixology account. And I prefer it that way. Like, I don't really like having to go through Marvel's interface anyway. I like to have my digital stuff all under one roof. I don't want to have to be like, oh, I got to read my DC books. I got to go to DC's thing to read my Marvel book. Then read my, I just want one space. So that's better for me too. But what the telling thing about it is that Marvel recognizes that it's not a value add. Marvel recognizes that digital, the sales of digital books is so low that it does not warrant that investment. So physical comics are physical. When people keep trying to argue to me about like, oh, the future of comics is digital, I just don't buy it at all. I will buy digital comics when they're like less than $1. Even then, the only reason I'm buying these Batman Adventures Continue and Man of Tomorrow books, number one, they're less than $1, and number two, it's because there's no other comics I'm buying. So I'm like, well, I used to have like a $25 a week comic bill that I don't have anymore. So now I pay like $1 a week for these books. Okay. But if it was normal, if it was normal, if it was pre-COVID, all this stuff, these books would have come out and I'd have been like, whatever. I would have skipped them. Because this is not the first time that DC's done the digital first stuff. I just, whatever. I'm not interested in buying new comics digitally. But if it's cheap and it's good, I don't necessarily need to own everything, because that's another problem with physical is space. And you get enough comic book boxes and you don't have the space anymore. You're just like, okay. I mean, I treasure my X-Men run, right? I can sit there and look and go, look, I got a huge chunk of the Chris Claremont run of X-Men. It's all physical, and I can treasure that. But I don't necessarily care about my Bendis Superman books in physical, right? Like, I'm just like, I'm kind of hoping I can sell them. I'm kind of hoping that there's some Bendis fans out there that'll be like, yeah, I get the Superman, the Action Comics. And it's like, please, just take them off my hands at like not too much of a steal. Like if I can sell them on eBay and get like half my money back, I'll be like, thank God, get these out of my boxes. Christopher says, to me, digital is try before buying it physically. Well, that's only if you pirate. I actually read all my books digitally, just to be quite frank. What I do, and I say physically, I mean digitally. I'll go to this comic book store, and then I'll buy all my books, and then I will download digital copies of those books, because that's fair use for me. And I have the book, and I have the digital copy of it. It's kind of funny, actually, that Marvel and DC give you the code for the book. Like, here's a digital code for the book, and you're like, I kind of already have fair use digital for the book anyway. I don't really need your code. But I think the good thing about the digital codes actually is more for sharing. Like, I get a book and I want you to read it, and I'm like, here, take this code, man. That's what got me reading Daredevil. Sergeant Batts, if those of you that know about Sergeant Batts, he and I used to do a show together. He donated the first 3 issues of Daredevil to me from Comixology. He's like, here's the codes, read these. And I was like, all right. I ended up doing videos on them and falling in love with the book, and it's the best book at Marvel, and that's history. That's where the good use of the codes are, in my opinion. Let's see. How Computer Robots came in kind of halfway, got confused about what digital stores are closing. Computer Robots, if you didn't hear, Marvel shutting down their storefront digitally, but it's not actually the Marvel store. The Marvel store is powered by Comixology. It's just the shell, if you will, the part where you go to marvel.com and you go into the actual Marvel comic section. All of that was powered by Comixology on the back end that you didn't see. They're just getting rid of that, so now you just go to Comixology. Ryuk says, please, I have Coates Black Panther Midtown exclusive cover because I ordered it from them and they gave it to me free, and I just want nothing to do with that author. I don't know what to do with it. Oh, man. What do you do? What do you do? Oh, man. I don't know. Maybe you can find someone that wants it. I mean, there's Black Panther fans out there. Have you checked on eBay to see if it's worth anything? Like, those guys, Lost in Comics, they appear in my channel every once in a while. They have their own, channel. They did not an anniversary. They did like a giveaway for like a subscriber count when they reached a certain amount of subscribers. And they did this giveaway, and I entered the giveaway. But one of the things they were giving away was Captain America 1 through 12 by Ta-Nehisi Coates. And I was like, I would not want to win this. I feel like if I won, I would be like, just keep it. Don't send it. Give it to someone else that will like it. Like, just, it's so bad. Like, I don't even want them for free. They do have some beautiful Alex Ross covers, though. It's so sad to me that they're getting these gorgeous Alex Ross Captain America covers, and they're wasting it on this trash Antifa book. it's oh God, you're like, it's like, wow, can you put Alex Ross on Captain America, and while you have like some awesome writer doing it? I really want to see God, I'm drawing a blank right now. Chip Zdarsky. I want to see his take on Captain America. And I did not read The Invaders. I did not read The Invaders, but I heard really good things about it. I do want to read it. I'm telling you, Daredevil is, in my opinion, the best book at Marvel. The writing it fluctuates between very good to holy shit, what did I just read? That was amazing. On some of these issues. I think Chip Zdarsky has found his voice writing drama. I think before he was trying to do comedy and stuff, and it just didn't work. But he knows how to do Daredevil, and what he's doing on Daredevil, this drama, is I don't really want to say deconstructing Daredevil, but he's almost deconstructing the idea of what makes a hero. Not the character itself, but just like the idea. And he's breaking Daredevil down to his roots. It's been done before. Frank Miller's done. I'm sure other copycats have done. But he's got past it, and he's not necessarily breaking Daredevil as much as just trying to, I don't know how to say this right, but trying to get it so that Daredevil can be the hero again, and to understand what really makes him tick. And we say we've been there, done that before. For sure we have, but not from Zdarsky's perspective. So I think what he's trying to do is do it so that the run will work for him. And he's had some guest appearances from Spider-Man that have been freaking aces. Two different guest appearances by Spider-Man that I was just blown away. I was like, these books are amazing. And then he introduces this new character, Cole North, who's this cop from Chicago, and he's like a by-the-book, hard-nosed detective, and he's put on the case to like stop Daredevil. And at first he's like this villainous type character, but he weaves this character arc of Cole North brilliantly. Like, this is one of the best new characters in comics, and like it's very difficult, I think, to introduce a new character, like a supporting cast character, to a mythology cast of comics like Daredevil or whatever. You know, Frank Miller was able to do it with Elektra, and Elektra's always been part, right? Like, it's huge. Like, sometimes you can introduce a character now and then and they stick, and you're like, okay, but it's not often. And Cole North is one of those cases. I love this character. He really adds to the Daredevil universe. I don't know why I'm just blabbing. Anyways, oh yeah, that drama is, I want to see him do for Captain America what he's done for Daredevil, because Captain America needs it. Captain America's broken. Marvel turned him into a Nazi. Ta-Nehisi Coates he's running around as an Antifa dude, which essentially is a Nazi. Just a Nazi of a different color. I just don't get it. Just Captain America needs to be reconstructed, and to go through a similar type of thing that he's done with Daredevil, to bring him back so that the character can understand why he's Captain America, what his purpose is. The readers can understand what his purpose is, and to give us those feel-good moments of what it means to be an American and a hero. And anyways, I would love to see that. And then do the Alex Ross covers. That's where I was getting at. Christopher Parker says, wait, Antifa's writing Captain America? No, Antifa's not writing Captain America. Ta-Nehisi Coates, who is a communist black man and a racist who hates America and is known for writing for the anti-American rag called The Atlantic, is writing Captain America. And he writes Captain America kind of like an Antifa guy. I'd done one review of the book. I called it Captain Antifa. And Captain America is not even the hero of his own book anymore. Like he wrote these women into the book. They're called like the Sisters of Liberty or something like that. And they pretty much boss him or Captain America around, and this is stupid. God, is it stupid? It's so I just call it Captain Antifa. Ryuk says, "Oh my God, seriously, read Invader," and then we'll be like, "Why isn't this man on big selling characters?" Yeah, I know. I'm kind of glad that he's not on big selling characters because he can get away with doing his thing, right? What's getting me is why isn't he making things big selling character, right? Like Daredevil is not an unpopular character, right? It was the first show for the Netflix crowd. People know who Daredevil is. People like Daredevil. His book's really good. We just live in a weird era of comic fandom where fans don't care about quality anymore. And I honestly believe most of the sales, especially on the Marvel side, are by people who don't even read the books. They're collectors. And the other portion of people who do read Marvel, I believe Marvel is inundated with tons of people who just pirate the books. So I'm guessing Daredevil actually does get quite a few reads, but people are just pirating them. It's so fantastically easy to pirate books. It's just rampant. And so the few people who actually buy comics and also read comics, they buy to read, that's just not a large enough market to appeal to. So I don't think these writers make that big of a difference, right? If you put Chip Zdarsky on Amazing Spider-Man, it would sell because it's Amazing Spider-Man. If you put Chip Zdarsky on I don't know, some stupid book like The Wasp, and then it would not sell because no one cares about that character. It doesn't really change much, and people can say, well, we want to put him on a big A level book, but honestly, if you just care about reading quality stuff, you want him on the book that he's going to do the best at, right? It's like Robert Venditti on Hawkman. I would love to see him do Batman. I mean, actually, Batman's got two pretty decent writers on it right now, so it's not like Batman's suffering, and I don't really want to take those guys off the job unless it meant putting like Tomasi back on Superman. But I would take Robert Venditti on Superman too, especially since it would get rid of Bendis. But I don't want to see him removed from Hawkman. I don't care that Hawkman doesn't sell like Batman, other than the fact I don't want it to be canceled. As long as this is going, Hawkman's the best book of DC. Like, so I'm happy reading my Hawkman. Please don't take him away. Like, people are gonna buy Batman regardless. They're gonna, apparently they're gonna buy Superman regardless. I mean, I've never seen a creator so shit the bed, like just completely full diarrhea all over, roll around in it on the bed and just get it all over the place, and the book still sells. I don't get it. Now it doesn't sell like it used to, but that book should be selling less than Hawkman. Like, and it sells like twice as much as Hawkman. And it's garbage. Melissa says, Ash, do something 90s or 80s. I'm sick of modern SJW comics. Well, I did do some 90s. Ed, remember I did like the 4 issues of X-Men? I don't always read SJW comics, Melissa. Like, I do them here and there for a laugh. I'm not doing them because, like, hey, it's going to be a great read. It's like, this is going to be a good time joking and mocking the book. And I think it's fun. I think that's a good thing to do. I think it's a good way to vent your frustrations. It's better to laugh at something and mock it than to just sit and get mad and angry about it. Speaking of angry, Tom King destroying Batman and Catwoman and plans to ruin Phantasm. Tom King, yeah, he just needs to leave Batman. I don't understand what DC is doing. It's like no one. The ship is. It's like the captain's missing from the ship, and it's just this. It's full steam ahead, and you can see like the wheel just spinning, and like where's it going? I don't know, but we're heading into icebergs. DC just is like, what are you doing? Chris says, Ash, I read Avengers No Surrender trade paperback, bloody brilliant. All right, I'll keep that in mind. The Avengers book I want to read that got really good like reviews and ratings, and people like gotta read this, was the Avengers Forever run by Kurt Busiek. That's the one I'm looking for. I'm not really a big Avengers guy, to be quite honest. I actually, when the first Avengers movie came out, I remember going to the movie being like worried. I was like, I just don't know. You can't do Avengers. Avengers on screen is gonna be dumb. I was like, ugh. And then I walked out of the theater just jumping for joy. I was like, oh my god! Not only was it good, it made me like the Avengers. So I love that Avengers movie. Doug John says, supposedly people are buying it for the Alex Ross covers. I do not doubt that one bit, Doug. Not one bit. When I go to the comic book store, there's there are whales that just buy these comics, and one in particular shows up every day, or not every day, every week, or often around the same time I do, and he literally buys a short box every time I see him come in. He buys, and he fills it about halfway with comics every week, and he's buying a new short box. Now these comics aren't bagged and boarded yet, so I'm sure it's bag and boarded ads. He buys every Marvel comic that comes out every week, including every cover. And then he buys maybe a couple of DC books or some indie books or whatever, but he buys them all. And I asked him, I was like, you're buying a ton of books, man. Like, that's great that, you're able to collect so much, but to be honest, it's not the money factor that gets me. It's the time. Like, how do you find the time to read all these books? Like I walk in, I have my little, I have this little comic box that like it holds like 10 comics. It's one of those black, kind of like got a flap over lid. If you've watched my videos, you've probably seen it. It holds like 10 comics, and it's good because I go to the store, I put my comics as I get them, and I put them in there, so I'm not like holding them and getting my, the oils in my hands and on the comics, especially with Marvel, right? The ink will melt away. You can sit them in there, and then they'll stay nice and secure. Then I walk up to the front, and I pull the comics out, and I pay for them, and carry around. So I'm like, I got my little box, and I usually buy between like 6 comics. I think on average I get about 6 comics every week, and I'm like, it's like the dick measuring contest. I'm like, plop, here's my 6 books, and he's got like 60 books. It's like, so I'm like, how do you find I can't even find the time to read my books. I'm only getting 6, and he's like, to be honest, I don't read them all. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I would have guessed that because it's so many. And, but he collects, he likes, and he gets all the covers, and he likes to have them all. And he's got his app that shows him which comics he has. And he's got his whole system down and everything. And this is something that I remember from back in the day, when I was a collector, I was never on his level, but when I bought comics to collect them and hoped it had value and all this stuff. And, I worked in comic book stores in 2 different periods of my life. And so I got to not just be a collector side, but I got to view the consumer side and see all the different types of people that buy comics. And it's always stuck with me, the Marvel zombie approach of people like Marvel buyers who just buy the comics. They buy them like they're trading cards, right? And that's exactly what I look at these Alice Ross books. It's like, oh, those are beautiful. I love Captain America. I got to collect these. I love the covers. And they buy them, they put them in the bag, they go in their box, and they store them. And they'll, look at them once in a while, but they'll never open them up and read them. And this goes back full circle when we talk about digital being the future comics. And I get in arguments with people, and I'm like, this digital's never going to it can't take over, because you can't replace that digitally. You can't collect a digital item. There's no collectability. There's no reason to sell someone 13 variant covers of a comic book digitally. You can't do that. You can't sell people who will buy your comics just because they want to collect all the covers digitally. They don't care. And Marvel gets away with so many sales, in my opinion, that no other company can compete on that level. DC probably has some people that do that. There's some people who are probably diehard DC lovers, and they do a similar type thing. But I think DC is more so than Marvel. Like, they have to appeal to readers. People buy DC comics to read. They may buy them also to collect, but they also read them. And then go down the list, and it's even more so. Like every other Image, like no one's buying Image comics because they think they're going to be worth money. They just, I just got to get Paper Girls issues because I love these covers. Like no one's doing that. People are buying Paper Girls because they want to read Paper Girls. So the comic has to appeal to the fan base. And then if you go even beyond that, beyond Image, you go like the Dynamite and Boom Studios and Titan, and I'm trying to think of all these other, like, these comics have to appeal. No one's just randomly picking up an issue of, I can't even think of some of these comics, just because, like, I just got to get this no-name comic. Like, no, people are buying them because they want to read them. And so only Marvel gets away with this. Anyways, I don't know where I'm going with this. It's time to actually read a comic book. You saw that I bought some new stuff. It's in my books. I got to sign in. What do you mean? How did I buy these books if I'm not signed in? Would you like to update this login? Stupid Amazon. All right, recently purchased. So, what are we going to read tonight? What are we going to read? Gonna read some Batman. Speaking of Batman. All right. Melissa, duly noted about the 90s, 80s, and 90s books. I would like to read more. I would like everyone to keep in mind that I can only read what's available on Comixology. So it has to be something that I own, or it has to be something that I can get on Comixology Unlimited, because I do have the Unlimited subscription. Most of the 80s and 90s comics that I own, like, are all physical. I don't have Comixology. So if you can find something that's on Comixology Unlimited and you want to share and say, hey, Ash, this would be something cool to read, point it out to me. Or, as it has been done in the past, if someone wants to donate a digital book and say, I'd love for you to read this here, by all means, you could donate, comics. Comixology, you can buy the book, and then you can gift it to the email address. I'm by no means begging anyone to have to give me money. If you don't, times are hard for everybody. I get it. But if that's something that you would want to do, I would happily do it. So in the meantime, when I'm buying the books, I got to pick what I got. Eric Breen says Unstoppable Wasp. Oh, Eric, man, you're a man after my own heart. If Unstoppable Wasp is on Unlimited, I might have to do an Unstoppable Wasp. But I'm really enjoying this Batman Adventures Continue. I want to stay with the theme of finishing at least the first 6 issues, or however many. I think it's a 6-issue run. These have been fun. I've been really enjoying these. So I've been blabbing for a really long time. I really appreciate your guys' patience listening. And let's get on some comic book fun, and then we'll see if there's anything worth talking about. First, I need a drink. All right, here we go. Batman, the adventures continue. Mentors, Part 3. I had a choice. I could have been home tonight studying for Mr. Uli's geometry test instead of dodging firebombs with Deathstroke. All in all, I think I made the right decision. The heat is on, bird boy. What a splendid roast you'll make. Apparently you've forgotten your true opponent is Garfield. Consider this a reminder. Oomph! I thought I'd clear the field first. Did I read the wrong voice? I don't know who I'm supposed to read. Which won't be long now. Can't breathe. So hot. Time to get out of the sauna, old man. Hold on. Whoosh. He knows he's never to cut off his comm line, no matter what. Realize, sir, Timothy is at that age when defiance can be confused with independence. Not to mention that geometry holds a special place in his aversions. Where was he when you lost contact? On Morrison, heading for K Street. Is that of any help? Yes. Unfortunately. We got fire truck. Ree. That was a terrible siren noise. Jeez, he even has a fire truck. Nice. The kids are like... Shouldn't the sprinklers be going off? Obviously our fastidious bug has dismantled them. I'm going in. I'll call you if I need backup. You do that. Time to face justice, Garfield. A Kevlar suit? I'm gonna have to turn up the heat. First you have to get past this Hephaestus sword. Get ready for a meltdown, bounty hunter. What? Apparently someone's paid the water bill. Thrump. Clever. The water won't put out the bug's fire, but the steam will inhibit his vision. Undoubtedly, the bat is wearing infrared filters. Crash. The bug must look as bright as day to him. Oh, you're gonna burn, bats. Whoosh. Next time. Kaboom! Looks like our fiery friend got cold feet. Maybe if we split up. Go home. But we might be able to. Now. I hope you're not too angry with the boy. Perhaps I should have dissuaded him from joining me. But he was quite the fighter. You've taught him well, as you have your female protege. You take too much interest in them, Slade. I don't like it. I don't mean any harm. They just happen to be more approachable than you. What are you doing here? I should think that would be evident, Batman. I'm after the bug. Why? Who hired you? FBI, NSA, MI6, one of those. The good guys. As you undoubtedly know, our firebug burned himself not too long ago. A lot of people hoped Garfield Lynns might be out of commission forever. But then Cobra brought him back to life. Like a pupa in a chrysalis. Cobra wants him to damage Gotham, 9/11 level. I don't know exactly how or where. My client is still working on that. My job is to stop him with extreme prejudice if necessary. I don't condone assassinations, Slade. When you find out where he is, you let me know. Got that? Of course. Perhaps you'd like to give me your Didn't think so. Meanwhile, there's a figure in the shadows watching. Where is everybody? Downstairs. I wasn't invited. Yeah? I heard you got grounded. Let me ask you something. What do you think about an international bounty hunter? What do you think an international bounty hunter gets paid? Pretty good, huh? You're a little young for that, but hey, maybe the CIA's emissary could use a busboy. So funny. You have no idea what it's like when he gets this way. I might as well be talking to a bear. Been there. Boo boo. You found him? We found someone. Our stalker exists, all right. This is the best we can get from the satellites. He fled right before I got there. We lose him in the shadows. He jumped? To where? The next building's half a block away. Perhaps he can fly. They do that all the time in Metropolis. He's not flying. He's using extra thin cable. You can barely see it. Even so, he's an athlete of extraordinary strength. Choo? Thunk. How does that song go? When Sunny gets blue, her eyes get gray and cloudy. Not funny, Slade. You never said we'd be facing him this soon. You knew it was coming. Think of it as bat practice, Sonny. If you ask me, last evening's encounter couldn't have gone better. Buzz. Yeah? Tell him. At your service, my liege. Cut the crap, Wilson. If I wanted Errol Flynn, I'd put on the movie channel. I gave you a simple task. Not the production I'm hearing about. Excuse me, Luther, but there's nothing simple about killing the Dark Knight. With Batman, preparation is everything. He's like me, you know, using far more of his brain than most people are capable of handling. There's no move sly enough to catch him off guard. No inflection that can hide the lie. It's taken all my cunning to get this far with him. I don't want to hear about it. I want it done. No one makes a fool of Lex Luthor, least of all that masked vermin. Patience, Luthor. I promise within the next 24 hours we'll all be making toasts. To the memory of Batman. Next, takedown of the Bat. All right, so who do you think that the character at the end is? I have a feeling that is our boy Todd. Oh, that was a nice sneeze. Jason Todd by that. So this being the Batman animated series, they have to kind of fudge some of the origins. So things work a little bit different because they've already established certain continuities. Jason Todd didn't exist, so I guess they're having to do a different origin. I'm not exactly sure. But Melissa says Jason Todd Robin in this universe. Yeah, I think that's who it is. Ryuk says that's not a fire truck sound. Yeah, I know. When I did it, I was like, oops, that was bad. That's what happens when you get live. See, that's the advantage of live. I can't filter it out. Let's see. Melissa Harris, Lex Luthor is the boss of the comic. Ronnie says, no one said boo about race swapping Luthor in that universe. Though to me, he always looked like a very tanned white guy. Yeah, he doesn't look black to me, if that's the whole thing. He looks what did our boy Zach used to always say about these comics? He looks vaguely ethnic. It's like, I think was the term that he said, where they could just like make him look vaguely ethnic enough to where he could essentially be anything. He could be a tan white guy. He could be black. He could be Indonesian. He could be Hispanic. He could be Native American. He could be anything pretty much. He's just vaguely ethnic. And so just gets past the woke filters, I guess. I don't know. I like kind of, you can see however you want. I don't necessarily think race is an issue. And like I said, to me, he looks enough like what I expect of Luthor that whatever. If the shade of skin is a few shades off, whatever. But if they had made him like Chinese or something, you know, he'd be like, what are you doing? Like he's not that. So it works for me. I'm all good with that. Not many people talking in the comics or the chat about the comic. I lost some people. Apparently Batman is not the comic to read. But what I really want to be the star of the show is Man and Superman. So that's what we're going to get on next. Supposed to be the best Superman book in ages. I'll be the judge of that. I will judge that. Let's see if I can figure out how to work the comic books. Now, I'm not going to read the whole issue of Man and Superman. It's going to divide it up into 4 parts to fit in the time frame of the show. Looking forward to this one. I've been hearing so many good things. Oh, speaking of good things, this isn't one of them. Of course, this Eisner Award. Eisner Award winner, because Eisners don't mean anything anymore. All right, Man and Superman. Marv Wolfman writer, Claudio Castellini art. Confidentially. Oh, there's a forward. I don't want to read the forward. It's pretty long. Jeez, Marv. All right, here. I'm going to just put this up here. You can pause the screen if you want to read it yourself. Do the next one. Give you time. You can pause it here if you want to read it. And then we'll get on to the story. If it lets me. Chapter 1. Looks like we're at the Kent farm, in which he leaves Smallville. As a boy. That's a pretty cool. I gotta say, I like this opening, this page here. Just we kind of, it's like it assumes we kind of all know the Superman history. No need to go into all the same details. It's like, okay, fast forward to that. Finally, I'm here. Yeah, it's great. I've seen it twice. Twofer's got tickets. Don't wait up, hon. I'm gonna be late. Jerry called. Oh, Annie's going to the hospital. Doesn't look good. It's me. Listen, be there by 8, but I've got to leave no later than 11. It's all good. The contracts were signed this morning. Yeah, I love you too. Get out of my way. Honey, was that the last thing again? Last week you said you wanted me to pick up. You should have an email waiting. I mean, what was I thinking? Yeah, I know what you warned. You are so wrong. God, it sucked. No, he didn't say anything. He just got up and left. Keep nagging and nagging me. I had to get out of there. Honk, honk, honk. Beep, beep, woo. This is Clark Kent walking down the street. Obviously, the message is he just hears everything. He's just inundated with information. 50. Oh, man. Becky's going to kill me. Everybody plays. Everybody wins. Keep your eyes on the cards. Follow the queen. $1 gets you 5. 5 will get you 20. What do you think? Doesn't look hard. The queen's right here. I knew it. Should have bet. You should do it. There's no way to lose. There's no way to win. 3-card monte. That game's crooked, man. Sure, I'll bet 5. We got ourselves a bet. Everyone plays. Everyone wins. Keep your eye on the queen. Okay, pal, you see it? There. Huh. How easy. See, try again. 20 will get you 100. Right there. Can I have my 100 now? Wow, you're right. This is easy. That's it. That's all. We're closing. And you don't come back, you freak. I believe this is yours. You know they were cheating. You're kidding. Thanks. Wow, thanks. 837 Avenue C. Look at the detail of this panel. Just take a look at the effort put into this book by the artist, just to really make you feel like you're in Metropolis. This is how comics used to be. Excuse me, sir. Do you know where this address is? What do I look like, the friggin' library? Excuse me? This address? Sorry, don't live here. Miss, would you know where... Are you a registered voter? If you're not, you should sign up now. The election's in less than a month. Well, I don't have an apartment, but do you know where... Miss, are you a registered voter in this election in less than a month so you can sign up here? Guess not. $8.37? That's way past 12th. About a mile that way. Better be careful, son, and watch your wallet. It's not what I'd call tourist-friendly, if you know what I mean. 1-bedroom kitchen, living room, safe, clean, neighborhood, beautiful views. Sounds perfect. Safe, clean neighborhood. Oops. Yeah, don't worry about the neighborhood. You're safe long as you get back before dark. So, like I says, the elevator's out. Don't know when it'll be fixed, but we're working on it. You're on the 6th floor, kid. Eduardo, the water's still running brown. You promised. We're working on it. We're working. But you promised. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Buy yourself some plastic containers. That way the bugs won't get your food. Anyways, here's yours. Need some repair, but, we're working on it. It's only one room. The ad said there's a bedroom, kitchen, and living room. And this is all of them. What do you think's a studio apartment is? Oh, the girls next door. They make lots of noise, but you don't want to get into any arguments. You catch my drift? See ya, kid. Beautiful views. It's the beginning of a big adventure, honey. We love you, Clark. It'll be great, C. You're going to forget all about this place. Just don't forget to call. Policemen, firemen, soldiers, they all wear uniforms. You'll need one too. And just like them, when people see it, they'll know you're there to help them. And don't forget. Right. Keep your Clark Kent separate from your hero self. Stand up straight. Speak clearly and deeply. Show confidence. Now, on the other hand, slump some as Clark. Speak faster and pitch your voice higher. Is anybody really going to buy this? Ma, Pa, it's me. I just got here. Metropolis is, well, it. The apartment? Yeah, it's great. It's got wonderful views. You know, Clark, when I was in the Army, after they shipped my platoon overseas that first night, we were all scared. Everything was overwhelming. It all got better, though. It's not like that, Pa. Remember who you're talking to. Nothing here can hurt me. It's just... Help! Pa, I gotta go. Kiss Ma for me. Remember, Clark, keep out of sight. Survey the situation before acting. With your abilities, there's dozens of ways to solve problems. Choose the one that causes the least damage. You're like a doctor. Do no harm. And above all, think. Right, Pa. Got it. The fire. Don't think I've ever seen anything like it. It's the way I imagine hell. Sniff, sniff. Doesn't smell like a regular fire. More like gunshot smoke. Fire department got here quick. Not like Smallville volunteers. They seem to be handling it fine. Behind the line, I'm talking to you people. Come on, move on or we'll move you. Without me. Fire's almost out. They certainly know what they're doing. I would have just gotten in the way. Lois Lane, Daily Planet. We had word there was a phone call just before the fire warning that Miss Lane, come with me, please, right now. Daily Planet? There's a Daily Planet reporter here? Where? Excuse me. I've got to get through. Hey, quit pushing me. Watch it. The Daily Planet, the New York Times, and the Washington Post. They're the crown jewels of American newspapers. I've always wanted to move to Metropolis, which means the Planet's the only place I really want to work. But it's also the only paper here that didn't get back to me. And after the deadly bombing, we spoke with both candidates. We begin with District Attorney John Wicks. That leaves only the Metro News and the Tribune Gazette and I've got appointments with them tomorrow. I'm hoping if I can start out with one of them, eventually get good enough to be hired away. How do you think the criminal court building explosion will impact the next month's election? Bibbo, the usual. Make it 3. You hear about Lane? Yeah, heard she got another exclusive. Captain what's-his-name? What the hell's her secret? With crime out of control, people should be asking my opponent why his union backers are protesting my plan to put 1,500 new police officers on the streets. Legs. Your legs look like hers. People talk to you, too. Men. She gets into the office before 6, and God knows when she leaves. You should try it. 6? Like, in the AM? Yeah, that's not gonna happen. We're fighting a war, Mr. Ryder, and I want law and order in this city. And I know the people do too. Candidate Donald Shore gave this response. D.A. Wicks wants early curfews and an armed militia guarding our streets to keep the peace. Vicky says Lane heard the fire was caused by a rocket or something. But that's only going to turn Metropolis into another Gotham. Oh, sorry, the TV. But that's only going to turn Metropolis into another Gotham, and none of us want that. We need to attack the root of this crime as well as its effect. Rocket? Yeah, and Withers promised Lane the full story. Another exclusive. Probably another award. Doesn't she ever slow down? Good legs. All I'm saying. We have to prevent crime before it happens, not just punish the perpetrator afterwards. A rocket. It was arson? 2 in the morning and the streets are packed. Back home, everyone's asleep by midnight. This isn't going to be easy. See, Dad, I'm keeping calm. Like you always say, avoid the police, don't let them see you. While you are seeing everything. Captain McCloskey, this is the reporter I told you about. I promised her full access. Who? Only if she keeps her mouth shut. 24 hours, that's all. 24 hours, that's all I promised. Now tell me why. They're coming closer. I've got to be fast, but quiet. Quiet. These are security photos, and they were all... Jesus, hit the button. Sorry, guys. These are security photos, and they were also a half a dozen eyewitness accounts verifying it. It looks like some kind of plane. I can feel it. Come on, almost. More than a plane, Miss Lane. A missile jet. And we believe someone's flying it. Then this was arson. Some kind of casing. Sniff, sniff. Explosives. Much more than arson, Miss Lane. But frankly, we don't yet know what it means. They're here. And until we do, we don't want to frighten the city. I'm sure you can understand. They're going to see me. If it's terrorism, the people need to know about it. They should be able to prepare. Get back. Someone's here. Who's there? Come out. No choice. Catch. This is what caused the explosion. He's being pulled up. He's escaping. How? Where's the rope? I don't see any rope. Whoosh. He's gone. I'm telling you, I didn't see a rope. Yeah, right. Maybe he flew away like a bird. Idiot. 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 I can't believe I threw it away. Some superhero I am, Ma. I can do anything but hold on to crucial evidence long enough to examine it. You said I should give myself a code name. Moron Boy. That's what they should call me, yeah. Moron Boy. This is all going wrong. I've got no idea what I'm doing. Like I told you on the phone, Kent, your writing's good. Better than we've seen from new grads, but... Oh, shoot. I can't... This is bad lettering. I can't tell which word balloon I'm supposed to read here. But they both have the 3 dots, like, continuing off the butt. But your stuff is the kind of snores the planet runs. And no one wants to read that gentle crap anymore. 3 words in, I wanted to take a snooze. You read the news? We're in your face. Mob blood runs dead. Hell, even they know we're cutting into the circulation. You see this? A pathetic attempt to do our kind of story. You believe that headline? They don't get it. If we ran this picture, the headline would be Doom from Above. Flying man? But I'll tell you what. We need writing interns, so take one of your stories. This one. How to avoid mad cow disease on your farm. Rewrite it our way. If you can news it up like I like it, you're hired. And I want it in by this afternoon. In this game... God, my voice is just falling apart. In this game, good's good, but fast is better. This afternoon? Right. Thanks, Mr. Dunn. No, this is awful. The casing I threw at them had my fingerprints all over it. They'll find out who I am. I can't believe it. My first day in Metropolis and I screwed up bad. But maybe I can fix the damage before it's too late. Where? Geez, look at that. That's a pretty strong Christopher Reeve look. Kind of, what's the word? It kind of evokes the Christopher Reeve Superman without being a direct, just drawing Christopher Reeve. There. Have to remember to vibrate my fingers from now on when I touch something. Can't leave prints. A little heat vision and they're gone. I love my powers. They scan the casing. Heat vision can take care of that too. Done and done. Nobody's the wiser. Click. Oh man, Clark. Just so naive. Doesn't even think about cameras. I made a mistake, but thank heaven I was able to fix it and finish the rewrite in time. If I have to say so myself, it's all good. Cows attack. Bovines battle for bad blood. A little far side, but it should do the trick. This may work out. Yet, the Daily Planet. Afternoon Extra, the headline reads, Flying Man invades Casey Plaza, destroys computer evidence. We will hunt him down, promises Commissioner Hawkins. No, no, no. I was wrong. Ma and Pa were wrong. I can't do this. I'm ruining every... Scree! Huh? Scree! Man, my voice is all cracked. I can't do any high-pitched sounds. What? Kabloom! Oh, man. Voices. There are people alive. I've got to do something. Don't breathe in. It'll be all right. Take it easy. I've got you. Who are... Help me. I'm trapped. Who are you? Can't see. Keep your eyes closed. Don't let in the smoke. You're saying you didn't see the man who saved you? Too much smoke. But he picked me up, carried me out. I thought I was going to die, then he took my hand. I was trapped under something in the fire. He pushed it aside, like it was nothing. Then he carried me out. Whoever he was a hero. That's what he was. He was a hero. I love how you never see Lane's face very clearly. Reports of gunfire. Help! Don't hurt me. Emergency units all stand by. Bomb has exploded at Pier 77 south of 56. Advise ETA. We've tried everything. Hand it over, Missy, now. Stupid slut. I swear you're dead. Don't come closer. Please don't. This just in. Hand over your wallet. That's all I want. Oh, God, she's dead. I don't have a choice. Was an innocent bystander. It's too much. It's just too much. I'm not ready. I can't do this. Oh, God, no, please, I'm sorry. Don't you fight me, and I promise it's gonna hurt bad. Bang, bang, wee, wee. The accident claimed mother, father, and 2 of their children. Light the match, you idiot. We need assistance. Accident with injury. Repeat. 1052, ambulance needed. Nothing we can do. I'm so sorry. We don't know who the flying man is yet, but we believe he's tied in with the terrorist bombers. Come on, son. Just put the gun down. Let's talk this. Annie, please don't give up. We'll get another option. Fire claimed 13 lives, including fire started on the south side of the street. We have a code 10 bomb threat. 17th and Metroplex Drive. Bam, crash, screech. I'm not going to read all these word balloons. I think you guys get the point. This is just a little interjection here. This is one of my favorite parts of the film Superman Returns. The Bryan Singer Superman with Brandon Routh that didn't really do very well. It had a lot of problems, but it had a really great aspect to the film, and I thought it kind of got Superman right. One of the things I love about Superman isn't so much that he's got all this power and he can beat up anyone. It's this part that this book is displaying right here, where it's like, put yourself in Clark Kent's shoes, right? We'd all like, I would hope at least, we would all like to, if we had this kind of power, we would all like to think, man, I would use it to help people, right? I would do that, and that's a very noble idea, and I hope everyone in this chat would feel that way. I feel that way. But then there's the back part of my mind was I read the stories like this, and I realize it's easy to think that because I'm thinking it from the perception of the world I live in today. And I can just help the problems that I see today, which are relatively limited. But here we see Clark. I mean, I can't even read all these. I mean, I could, but I don't want to continue to bore you. Like, you got the point. Like, there's, 20, 30 of these little blips of things that it's just showing what Clark has to deal with, what he hears constantly. He hears, probably hundreds and thousands of problems an hour that he just, he can't deal with them all. He can't save everyone. But he knows that he's got this power that he can save people, and it probably, weighs on him heavily, all the people that he can't. Like right now he's sitting there and these people can't help. And then there's the people that he does actually help. And you have to think, this is a man, like, he's devoting his life to this. And, especially in today's day and age where we just witness the world and how screwed up it is and all the problems, what makes Superman such a hero to me is that he never stoops to the idea that he's better than anyone else. That people should listen to him, and he has the power, and that to me is the most admirable quality, because I think many of us, it would be very easy to be in a situation and just go, you know what? I know what's best. I'm going to stop listening to these morons and all these people and just I'll take care of it. Listen to me. I know what's the best for everyone, and to do that. And now people already do that when they don't have power, when they don't have necessarily super intellect, like Superman. Like, people already do that, but Superman would have a legitimate claim to this. If anyone was going to lead the world and take over, and just be like, listen to me, it would be Superman. Like, he's not just one of us. He's literally better than all of us. And yet the one who thinks he's better than, the one who actually is better than all of us is the very one who never crosses that line, who never breaks beyond that, and to think that he's better, to ever act better. He's his humility. I love that, his restraint. And in the Superman Returns film, one of my favorite scenes of that film is when he meets Lois on the balcony, or wherever. He takes her up into the sky, and they're like looking down at the nation. They're like way up high, and it's like nighttime, and this is all peace and quiet, and they're looking down, and he says to her, "Do you hear that?" And she kind of just looks and says, "No," something to this effect. And then he responds, "I hear everything." And it was a great moment that like hit me, just kind of hit me in the stomach of like, man, there's a guy, he hears everything. He has to constantly deal with it, and deal with the fact that he has the power to do things. And this is a man of conscience, and how much it weighs, like the things that he can't act on, and the restraint of not taking it further and just being like, look, I can't save everyone. So what I am going to do is take over this freaking world and have everyone follow my rules so that I don't have to worry about saving people. He doesn't, anyways, I don't want to keep going on that. I go forever, but this is what makes Superman to me. And this scene here evoked those memories. And I don't know what makes Superman for you. You can put it in the chat. But I know it's kind of boring to read these little word bubbles, but the message, the character, what this makes Clark is, I think it's very important. Continuing on. See a post office van driving to Smallville. See Pa Kent receiving something. It's Superman's uniform, and they're shocked. I shouldn't have moved here. All right, so that's chapter 2. So that, I wasn't sure how this was going to do it, if they were going to just have 4 different comics, or they were just going to actually edit it and blend it. So they did edit it as if it's one big giant issue. thankfully they put the chapter break in there. So we'll stop here. This does actually feel like the end of an issue, so I kind of was able to tell how this was. Let's check chat before we wrap it up tonight. Let's see. Gotta scroll up. Ryuk says, funny how Metropolis looks like Gotham in this issue, though it's always bright and shiny. That's an interesting take, Ryuk. I thought Metropolis to me always was meant to be New York, like New York, or evoke New York. And I feel like this is what this city looked like. It looked like New York. Gotham, it's kind of a mix depending on who does it. I think some people think of Gotham as like Chicago. And then I recently learned that Gotham is supposed to be like Baltimore. And I can kind of see a mix between the Baltimore, if you kind of had a hybrid of the city of Baltimore with some of the stuff that's Chicago style. That's how I think of Gotham. For the longest time, man, back in the day, in the 80s and 90s, I wasn't a DC guy. I actually used to think that Gotham was a replacement of Chicago and that Metropolis was a replacement of New York. I didn't actually know that those cities existed as well. Like, I thought like there was no New York. There was just Metropolis, like, and so for the longest time, and then when I found out, when I actually got into DC and started, I was like, wait, there is a New York too? Like, wait, what? How do these giant cities of Gotham and Metropolis exist? And there's also the other giant cities. And then people had to educate me about how in the DC universe, like the Earth is like 5% bigger than the. I was like, this is so weird and convoluted. Like, what? You're telling me of all the times DC's rebooted their universe, they never found a way to deal with these crazy cities. I always thought it, to me, maybe it doesn't make sense to DC fans, but it always made sense to me that Metropolis was just what they called New York in the comics. Like, there wasn't actually. It was New York, but it was also more than New York because this is a world that has a Superman. So New York evolved into something beyond. It was the same, but I always thought that would work better. I never liked the idea that there's just these random cities like, oh, there's another city that doesn't actually exist, and it's like as big as New York, and it's also like on the Eastern Seaboard. And there's another city that's also almost as big as New York called Gotham, and it's also on the Eastern Seaboard. I'm like, how many big, gigantic cities? I don't know. It's comics. Let's see. Losing track of where I was. Ronnie says, people don't remember the Washington Star. They were the counterpart to the Post. I certainly don't remember. Ryuk says, I tend to read Little Superman. I guess that's why I'm surprised by this. All right. I was really enjoying this book, by the way. I can see why people were freaking out of how good it was. The style of the art is not my favorite. Like, I look here and I'm just like, it's not as appealing to me as what I want, but I appreciate the level of detail and the quality of the art. It's just, I don't want to say it's not appealing to me, because it is. I really just, man, look at these backgrounds, like in this, the scenery. The artist isn't drawing just figures. He's drawing scenes. And like, look at this in the room. And I should break this down, to full screen. We get these full pages that are just gorgeous. This is a great comic. I can see why people are raving about it. Teelam says, I do like what the Man of Steel movie showed in relation to a young Clark Kent. Absolutely. I think Man of Steel is the best Superman movie ever made up until Pa Kent dies. I was like, this movie is phenomenal. I was just in the seats, just my jaw on the floor watching this film going, oh my God, this film is amazing. I love Kevin Costner as Pa Kent. Oh, beautiful. Diane Lane as Ma Kent. I was like, oh, this is everything I want. Of course, what's his nuts is playing Superman. Just the only thing that was a little weird was Amy Adams. Was it? Is it Amy Adams? I think it's Amy Adams. I'm second guessing my. Sometimes I mix up the names of these actors, but we all know who I'm talking about. The redheaded girl, and I love her. I love her as an actress. She's fantastic, but she's not Lois Lane. Like, it's not a good cast as Lois Lane. But everything else. Oh, and then of course Perry White. I love Lawrence Fishburne too, but I'm like, dude, you're not Perry White. But whatever. That's neither here nor there. The movie was fantastic, and then after Pa Kent died, it just went off a cliff. For me, at least. Some people really love it. Melissa says, Ash, did you see the robot chicken skit that a Superman killed Lois with a beach? What? With a BJ? And his elderly neighbor said she heard, here comes a super load. Wow, that was on Robot Chicken. That's pretty nuts. But thank you for putting that image in my head. Marani says that's a Christopher Reeves homage. The drawing, I would definitely believe that. Ryuk says, yeah, did you see the one where Bane continuously breaks Batman's back? Those skits still slay me. Robot Chicken's fan. I love Robot Chicken, but I gotta go find a collection of them to watch. There's so many I haven't seen. Tehillim says, I do like the Man of Steel movie showing the relation. Okay, I talked about that. Tehillim, you never saw that in the Christopher Reeves Superman. That is true. Not necessarily a fault of the Christopher Reeve Superman, but it was a good value add, good strength of Man of Steel for sure. Let's see, there were some small things in the Zack Snyder Superman film I did like. Jimmy has shown up. Speaking of Superman's friend, he's shown up. Hopefully he got to enjoy the comic. And I think I'm pretty sure Jimmy's actually read this book himself. Jimmy says, what story is this? Man of Superman. Jimmy says, this is one of my favorite ones ever. Well, it can't be your favorite one ever if you didn't even recognize what it was, Jimmy. Come on. Good Lord. Melissa says, can plans something ruin Kung Fu, a disrespectful David? You're checking. Melissa, I'm having a hard time following your comments because they're broken up. Something about disrespectful David Carradine. She has to go. So if you're still here, Melissa, good night. Let's see. Story is incredible, says Tehillim. Morani says, actually, I like the art in this. Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm not criticizing the art as bad art. I was only trying to suggest, for my style, it's not something that grabs me just on a, it's like one of those things. We all have kind of our favorite artists, and we look at their style. Some people just drool over Todd McFarlane or Jim Lee or whatever, Quirks loves his Mike Mignola. And it's not necessarily about the quality of the art, which all those guys are great artists. It's just sometimes there's a certain aesthetic appeal that just grabs you and you just love looking at their art. And for me, a modern day one would be Jorge Jimenez. I just love looking at his art. It has that aesthetic appeal. That's all I was saying. This art is stupendous. It's fantastic. These shots are, the level of detail, and look at this, the Daily Planet, look at that great angle, getting the news, the signboard at the top, and it's just angling down to the office. Oh, that was the Daily News on Daily Planet. Oh man, so much detail of the city. You feel Metropolis here. Bibbo's bar is pretty cool. The fire was really, really a neat scene. Look at the details of his apartment. This was really important here to sell what Clark's apartment was like. Yeah. Yeah. I 100% agree. Look at that detail there. Oh, I love this. I love the scenery. This is something that so many modern artists don't understand. They just draw figures and blank backgrounds, and we have to rely a lot on our imagination. But, anyways, Telam says story is incredible. Jimmy says, I love Amy Adams as Lois. Of course, Jimmy, you always love you love everything that I criticize. I love Amy Adams. I just do not think she fits Lois at all. Now, of course, she's a different Lois for that movie. And she can work as a different Lois, just like Lawrence Fishburne worked as a different Perry White for me. But the Lois that's in the comics it just feels different. But whatever, like, and, you know, just that was just my observation. Quirk says, when I said that, it was a picture of cornfields. Yeah, so I don't see your point. Melissa says, Superman best friend Jimmy. Mignola and Ribic are my favorites. You know me so well, Ash. I do. Suicide Slum was a big part of the later Superman stories. Yeah, I like, and that's one thing about DC. You know, I kind of bitched a little bit about the fantasy cities that exist in DC. You know, you don't see this in Marvel. There's barely any made up locations. You do have like Wakanda and, God, I'm drawing a blank on Doctor Doom's country, which is bizarre. I love Doctor Doom. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, there's a few made up places in Marvel, but for the most part, they don't have like made up cities in the country. The way like DC does, you know, every superhero has their own city, and it's like a major city, and then all the other cities exist too. But the one cool aspect about that is that DC gets to make the city a character of its own. You know, Gotham is a character. I think when you're doing a Batman comic right, you're getting the concept that Gotham is one of the characters in the Batman story. Good Batman books, good Batman writers and artists get this. It's one of the reasons I like the Sean Gordon Murphy books so much. Is he did a different kind of take on his Gotham, but he remembered to make Gotham a character in its own. And I like that. Metropolis also being a character. Latveria, of course, yeah. As soon as I see Latveria, I'm like, oh yeah, my brain is just falling apart. Let's see. Tehilin says, I enjoyed Lex Luthor in Superman Returns movie. He was a clever villain. Yeah, Kevin Spacey was a good choice for that. Tehilin says, not so much Lex Luthor in BVS. Yeah, I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to reimagine Lex Luthor as a tech geek from like the Google and Facebook era type stuff, instead of the Lex Luthor that's based on the Carnegie robber barons type of character. And that makes sense from a point, because, the robber barons era, that's 80 years ago. And Lex Luthor is a product of that. And he doesn't necessarily fit in that era today. Today, the big super rich moguls they look more like, these tech geek giant guys. And so I tried to just go with the flow on that. I tried to just go, okay, Zach, that's your idea. I'm going to try to understand it. When I did that, and I just told myself that this is an Elseworlds vision. That's one of the things you can do with DC, is just go, this is Elseworlds. It didn't bother me, honestly. To me, he was just a different Lex. Like, he wasn't Lex Luthor. He was just a villain called Lex. I guess. And so I appreciated him on that level. What I didn't like about Batman versus Superman was Batman. And don't get me wrong, Ben Affleck completely made me eat crow because I screamed and and I got so triggered when they said they were casting Ben Affleck as Batman. I was worse on that casting than I am about the current fiasco with what's his nuts being Batman. And I had to eat my words because Ben Affleck was amazing. He's probably the best physical embodiment of Batman I've ever seen on screen. But the character that was portrayed on film, that wasn't Batman. That was like the Punisher. It was like I was seeing Batman for the first time looking like the Batman of the comics that I knew and loved, but in a Punisher story. And I was like, wait a second, man, I would love to see a Punisher movie that looked like this. I would love to see that. Like, this is, please, Zach, do a Punisher movie. Please. Like, this is great. It was weird. It was very surreal. It was hard to get over. And I was like, there's so much good here, but it was like not being applied correctly. Anyways, and Batman's the best part of Suicide Squad too. Superman Returns is the best Superman movie. Once again, Jimmy is wrong, but we love him anyway. Let's see. Rania says they make up some Middle Eastern and certain other power cities in Marvel. Oh yeah, there's a couple Middle Eastern because Marvel doesn't want to piss off. God, I hate Marvel. Oh, we don't want to actually use real Middle Eastern people. Oh. No one wants to piss off the Middle Eastern people, so they always have to make up. That's whatever. God forbid we show Iran in a bad light in a comic book. Ronnie says, except for a few gaffes, the first two Christopher Reeve Superman movies are the best version of the character so far. No sleeping with Lois, no turning back in time to save her. Great otherwise. Well, isn't there a scene, there's a love, I mean, not really a love scene, but an implied love scene in Superman 2. That was kind of one of the criticisms of Superman 2. But Superman 1, absolutely. Superman 1 is astounding. And you consider that film was made in the 70s. You're like, they still haven't made a better Superman since. Ryuk says, what was wrong with Batman versus Superman was the entire movie done. No, it wasn't a good movie, but it was a very watchable movie. Especially if you've seen the director's cut or the ultimate cut. I forget what it's called. If you just see the theatrical version of BVS, oh jeez, see the ultimate cut version of it. Man, Warner Brothers chopped the shit out of that film. So much more makes sense in the ultimate cut. Doesn't make it a great movie, but it makes it much better and watchable. And if you approach the film as like a totally off take Elseworlds and don't get hung up on like, these characters aren't tried and true to the comic. If you can do that, if you can watch the film and be like, okay, fine, let's have a reimagining of these characters. Can they still be enjoyed under this case? And I was able to. Like I said, that Batman is not the way I think Batman should be, but if I had never seen Batman, if I didn't know who these characters were, I wouldn't have been bothered. So to me, that's a different kind of hang up. It's like you can either decide to hold on to that ideal, and you're free to. I'm not, or you can decide to say, you know what, show me something different, and I'll see if I can appreciate it. Some of the decisions were dumb. I really think the use of Doomsday was both really clever but also wasted. I think Doomsday is a dumb character, to be quite honest. Like, it really, and I thought the way that Zack Snyder handled Doomsday by making him kind of a clone of Superman and like Luthor being part, I was like, that's much better conceptually for a threat, that Luthor would be behind this. He's using Superman DNA type stuff to make this weird hybrid monster creature. I think that in its essence was a good idea. Bad idea was doing it in the very first movie. Well, if you don't count Man of Steel, the first Batman Superman, like, and then killing Superman. I'm like, what? Like, you gotta build to these things. This was the same problem that Sony did with Spider-Man 3. It was like, let's just toss Venom in. It's like, well, we're not ready. You have to have to make Venom work properly, you have to have the black suit saga. That's what makes Venom, Venom works, I guess, without that, but that's the story, is the suit and the love story of the suit with Peter Parker, and how the suit is sort of like this abusive, it's like an abusive relationship, and it's using Peter, and it's hurting him, and it's obsessed with him, and Peter has to get rid of it, and of course it's scorned so that it hates him because it's a lover scorned type thing. It meets up with Peter Parker's enemy, and then that whole arc is what makes Venom's relationship to Spider-Man so much more interesting. And if you just go, let's throw it all in there at once and rush through it, yeah, you get something, but it could have been so much more. It's the same mistake that the X-Men do with the Dark Phoenix. Instead of building up to it, it's like, let's just make a movie about it twice. They've done it twice now. And it's like, no, you gotta build. You gotta do a whole movie where Jean Grey sacrifices herself to save the X-Men and everyone mourns, and then do a movie afterwards where she's not involved at all, and at the end of that movie you start to see something's going on, like, and build to it like the MCU built up to Thanos. That's doing it right. Superman needed to build up to Doomsday. The whole effect, it was wasted. Warner Brothers just blew their wad. They didn't care, and it showed. Superman Returns is the best moments of Superman of all time. If you will rewatch it, because I'm guessing you haven't seen it since 2006, rewatch it, and you'll see it in a new light. Fantastic movie. Well, it's not a fantastic movie. It's a really flawed movie. And I was giving its credit. Some of my favorite Superman scenes are in that movie. But there's also a lot of dumb stuff in it. So that's what holds it back. The Superman 1 is the only Superman movie that doesn't have dumb stuff. It's like every other Superman movie is like, oh, this is really good, and then, oh, dumb stuff. Jesse Eisenberg was a poor decision for Lex Luthor, especially with him trying to look for a startup company frat boy. Well, that was the point. Like, I talked about that. I disagree. I knew what they were trying to do. I can understand why it didn't work for everyone. I was okay with it. Let's see. I can only finish it with booze or use it to bore myself to sleep. I'm speaking of Superman Returns, Ryuk. I haven't seen BVS. Maranya, if you ever do see BVS, make sure you see the ultimate cut. Oh my gosh, they chopped the shit out of that movie. And understand that you're going to get a Batman Punisher. It's really cool. The scenes with it are awesome. And it would have worked if that was like the John Paul Valley Batman. Man, see, I watched that movie, like, and Zack Snyder knows how to do action scenes and stuff, and you're just like, the only problem here is this is not the Batman we understand. If this wasn't Batman, if this was the Punisher, or if it was John Paul Valley Batman, this would be fine. This would be actually really badass. We would all be jumping for joy and being like, this is really cool. So it's one of those hits and misses. Like, there's parts of it that are like, oh, this is so cool. And it's like a shame that they wasted it by not being accurate. But what are you going to do? Ryuk says the Dark Phoenix movie was just a different version of Captain Marvel. I did not see the Dark Phoenix movie. I stopped X-Men movies after Wolverine Origins. So I watched X-Men 1, X-Men 2, X-Men 3 came out, and I said, F no. There's no, I'm not watching this. I saw those trailers. I was like, number one, the guy who directed, I forget his name now. He's one of the hack directors. I was like, you gave that to him? And then I saw the trailer, and I was like, oh no, this is beyond awful looking. And I was not impressed with X-Men 1 or 2 anyway. They're marginally okay. X-Men 2 is better than X-Men 1. So that was at least good. You're like, oh, you're on the right track. And then X-Men, I was like, okay. And then because Wolverine used to be one of my favorite characters, well, they made a Wolverine movie, and I was like, okay, I gotta see a Wolverine movie. Like, okay. And X-Men Origins Wolverine, oh man, what a train wreck. And that's when I was like, I'm done. Forget this. Now, I did actually end up going back and seeing X-Men First Class, because everyone told me, oh, X-Men First Class is the best. That's the one you got to see. And when I found out that it was, God, what's his name? Vaughn. God, there's too many Vaughns. Not Vince Vaughn. Not Brian K. Vaughn. The third Vaughn that I'm blanking on. Anyway, the guy that did the Kick-Ass movie and the Englishman. Not the Englishman. Was it the English? God, my memory is so bad. Yeah, isn't it the Englishman? The Mark Miller movies. Love this director. So I was like, oh, that guy did First Class? Okay, I got to go see this now because I love him as a director. And if that was not an X-Men movie, it would have been probably pretty cool. But as an X-Men movie, it's god-awful terrible. Like the script for that movie, I was like, what the hell is this that I'm watching? This is not X-Men. But people who don't care about X-Men or don't actually know the comics of X-Men, they walk in and they go, I don't know what the hell I'm watching, but so this is cool. I like it. But if you're a big fan of X-Men like I was, and you want X-Men to be X-Men, and you go in there expecting to get X-Men stories, and then you get something that's not even remotely close, you get pissed off. So yeah, that's all the X-Men. I haven't seen the other Wolverine movies. I refuse to watch any X-Men movie after that, so I haven't seen any of them. It's just, ugh. Kingsman. Thank you, Jimmy. God, I was like, Englishman's not right. I know I'm missing something up. Ryuk says, at least see Logan, give it a shot. That's the one that I've been debating on breaking my vow of celibacy on X-Men. I've considered seeing Logan because people keep telling, oh, so good. You gotta see Logan. And I'm like, all right. But then I saw people a little while back doing these definitive X-Men movie lists. Like, oh, it's a definitive X-Men movies. And when Logan wasn't number one, I was like, I'm not watching it then. Because I still have not seen a good X-Men movie. So if the X-Men movies I have seen are better than Logan, I was like, Logan needs to be the best for me to accept it's worth seeing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am very happy that you hung out with me this long. I went way longer than I expected. I'm sure Eric Breen fell happily asleep, which is the point of the stream. It's a bedtime story. If you do fall asleep during the stream, then sweet dreams. And you can always come back and watch the reruns. Or, if you don't want to watch the whole stream rerun, you can just skip ahead to the book. And get the book if you want. So that is that's the show for tonight. We'll be back Sunday, and we'll do more Man and Superman. And I gotta think of something to open. I guess I could do the Venditti Superman, but I don't know if I want to do back-to-back Supermans. So I might hold that Venditti book until after Man and Superman is done. We'll figure something out to do the opening. Ryuk says time for night. Yep. Hopefully you guys are enjoying Man and Superman. I'm absolutely beyond impressed. I mean, I was trusting the people that had recommended it. I knew it was going to be good, but it's one of those things that, like, even when you know it's going to be good, you read it and you're like, oh, it really is. I'm so happy it's living up. I'm very much enjoying it. This is a Superman story done right. And it's hard to do. People, it's hard to do good Superman stories, so I don't take them for granted. I just want to keep talking because I enjoy it, but I can't do 3-hour streams. So I'm going to take care. I do have some work to do, like real work or the boring kind of work. So I need to do it before I end up passing out. I hope everyone stays safe, stay COVID free, stay looting free. Don't get looted, please. And don't go loot, please. I don't think anyone here is the type to go loot. And I hope to see you guys on Sunday. Thanks for giving me your time and your ears and your attention.